Of the compact foldables, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip has been the biggest success by far. There's obviously something nostalgic about having a flip phone for those who remember carrying them around, and there's equally something so satisfying about folding an actual display into a more pocketable clamshell form factor. Here's the thing. I was a Z Flip hater until I spent time with the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. Now I'll explain what Samsung did to change my mind in this video, while also giving you my early impressions of the latest Z Flip hardware. Now for some background, there was the original Galaxy Z Flip and then a Z Flip 5G, which added faster cellular connectivity, and which I assume Samsung considers to be the second flip, since the new one is called the Z Flip 3. Now side by side, the Z Flip 3 and the original Z Flip aren't that different. The Z Flip 3 is about 17.1 millimeters thin when folded, while the Z Flip was around 17.4. When you unfold, the Z Flip 3 is shorter and narrower, but both smartphones are equally thin at 6.9 millimeters. Now I definitely appreciate the tighter build, and if you do too, hit that like button down below. Weight is also identical at 183 grams, although the Z Flip 3 definitely feels like the more premium device thanks to the new Armor aluminum Samsung is using, along with Gorilla Glass Victus. Another big change here is the addition of IPX8 certification, which means the Z Flip 3 can be submerged in water for up to 30 minutes at a depth up to 1.5 meters with no problems, although it's interesting that there's no dust resistance rating. But still, it can survive splashes and spills. But overall, I think the build quality of the Z Flip 3 feels much more solid and robust compared to the original Z Flip, especially with that added water protection. Now, I'll be testing this out more in the full review, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that one. Another big change comes with the outer display. Like the tiny and, dare I say, borderline useless 1.1-inch Super AMOLED cover display of the original Z Flip, the Z Flip 3 has a much larger 1.9-inch Super AMOLED cover display. This is an always-on display that supports notifications and widgets. If you're already a Z Flip user, then you're gonna love this improvement. Using the cover display for selfies is also a lot easier with that extra real estate. Just double tap the power button and you're taking selfies with the primary rear camera, which is still super cool. More on the cameras in a minute, but first let's talk about the folding display. It's the same size as the previous generation, a 6.7-inch panel with a full HD plus resolution and a very slightly different 22:9 aspect ratio compared to the 21.99 on the Z Flip. But here, the Infinity Flex display is a dynamic AMOLED 2X, which means you'll get a variable refresh rate up to 120 Hertz and a protective layer for 80% better resistance, both of which are welcome additions to the Z Flip line. Samsung's also working on making software as intuitive as possible. So when using Flex mode, there's a new panel that makes apps look better and easier to use. And when you're watching a video, the phone brings all your brightness and volume controls right to the bottom half of the display for easy reachability. And it also does something similar when you're in the camera mode. Aside from all that though, the Z Flip 3 just behaves like a regular smartphone when opened up, and this is why I was a hater, I admit it. You see, it seemed to me that the focus on the original Z Flip was on the cool factor of folding up the phone, but the second you unfolded it, it was just a subpar Galaxy S20. When I'm actually using the phone, I would rather have the S20 in my hand, although this is an S21, the S20 in my hand rather than an unfolded Z Flip. Because at that point, what's the difference? It's no longer folded, you're in candy bar mode, if you will, and the Galaxy S was the better phone. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that cool factor sells, but paying a premium for a phone that didn't bring the same level of power did bother me. However, this year, Samsung didn't skimp in the power area. You get the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G system on a chip, coupled with 8 gigabytes of RAM and either 128 gigs or 256 gigs of storage. You also find a 10 megapixel camera sitting on the Infinity O cutout, so no under display camera like you see on the Z Fold 3. And I'm actually glad because the Z Fold 3 internal camera isn't as good as what you're seeing here on the Z Flip. The primary camera is a dual 12 megapixel setup. Everything about the camera hardware remains the same, but instead of an 8x digital zoom that we saw on the Z Flip, we now have a 10x digital zoom on the Z Flip 3. Battery wise, once again, it's the same 3300 milliamp hour battery with 15 watt wired, 10 watt wireless, and 4.5 watt inductive wireless charging for other devices. Oh, and if you want a charging adapter, no surprise here, you'll need to get one separately. So the biggest changes on the Z Flip 3 include the larger outer display, the higher 120 Hz inside panel, a more premium build with IPX8 certification, and updated processing power. The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 drops on August 27th at a starting price of $999, which is $200 less than the starting price of the Z Flip 5G. That brings a premium foldable device into the $1,000 price point. Any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll meet you there for further discussion. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I'll catch you in the next video.